Is going on, Secondhand Talent family? It is your boy Steiner here, as always, with another episode of Secondhand Talent. And with us, we have Cherie Tucker. Cherie, thank you so much for being on the show.
Hi, nice to
So
meet you.
nice to meet you too. We've got a typical first question that we start our show with. But first, folks, if you're listening and not watching on YouTube, I've got something to say. Cherie Tucker, aka Shady Business, is an independent merch slinger, bassist, stagehand, and positive vibes technician. Since 2011, she has been involved with live music in one capacity or another, from playing bass in bands local to her beloved Tulsa, to traveling with national acts as a merch seller, to running large stages at various independent festivals. Shady has made a dedicated effort to keep herself surrounded by what makes her happy, music and all the joy it brings. In 2014, she moved to Eureka Springs, Arkansas to assist her mentor, the legendary Ma Dank, with day-to-day tasks. Ma's legacy continues to be a guiding light in Shady's work ethic and overall outlook on life. Those two shares a zest for life that is infectious and rare. Although she passed away in 2020, Ma travels with Shady to every show she attends. A brief hiatus from music in 2016 saw Cherie protesting for human and water rights at Standing Rock. Never one to sit idly by, she is always on the move and always working hard to fiercely defend what she believes in: fairness, equality, and joy. After a difficult year of loss, life-changing surgery, and introspection in 2020, Shady resolved herself to make the most of every moment and pursue her passion of travel and music. Since then, she has worked full-time selling merch on the road with many bands. Most of these bands are in the bluegrass, folk, and roots scene, which is not the type of music you'll typically hear in her headphones. She enjoys seeing new parts of the country, meeting new people, and sharing in the joy that the ever-present music brings to her and others. Shady is as sweet as they come, but furiously protective of her people, and she will cut you. She's a well-oiled machine that runs on sausage biscuits, menthol cigarettes, and postcard hunting, has van, will travel, available for hire. And this was written by Jared Starling of Carrie Nation, the speakeasy out of Wichita, Kansas, that Cherie has toured with. Cherie, welcome to the motherfucking show. It's so great to have you here.
Hi, nice to meet you, dude.
I hope I did all right with that. Well, welcome. Welcome to the show. We have a typical first question, like I mentioned, that we ask guests. And this is fun since this is really our first time meeting. The first time you heard the term secondhand talent, what did you think of? What came to mind?
It kind of made sense. Second hand, second stage, like the second group of people that helps put on the first. I don't know. It just kind of it clicked once I read what you meant
No,
by
before you read what I meant, like when you just heard secondhand talent, you got a message that said, "Hey, secondhand talent." What was your reaction of like, what's this? What was your
well,
instinct?
my first thought was it was probably a scam or one of those like trying to hook people up with modeling jobs, and it's not modeling jobs, it's fucking porn. And but I read it.
I'm
Why? Is
not
that the exact answer
no,
you thought?
I'm not saying it doesn't happen, but it is genuinely the first time that we've gotten that answer on the show at the time of this exist. Oh, that is, see,
Second hand, hand job. I don't know. My brain goes straight to the gutter because that's just how I am.
that's that's incredible. And you know what? It sets up, folks, if you're longtime watchers of the show, you'll notice we have a new little set piece on us. It's on here in honor of Cherie. It's a little tombstone that says, "Here lies my last fuck." Cherie,
That's a good idea.
I feel like that's pretty emblematic of your total style. I
It
kind of
is.
want to know, like, where did you begin in music before you got into the scene? What was the first stuff you started listening to that really made you get that itch to be involved in live music? So I would say first music you started listening to, and then first few live experiences that really made it.
Man, that's a hard question. When as soon as I was little, my grandma put a recorder thing in front of me and would dress me up and put me on top of the record player and make me sing country stuff.
Hmm.
And she was an assistant that I was going to be like a star or a country singer or something. And I wasn't about that, but kind of fell in love with my mom's music in the 80s. Like Pink Floyd's my favorite band, always has been, always will be. I love the big hair 80s shit like Bon Jovi and Def Leppard. That's my shit, man. I love that shit. But it wasn't until like my teenage years when I first went, I think Stone Temple Pilots, that was my first concert that I ever went to. I was like 13, but I didn't really develop the itch and burn until like '07. My friends dragged me to a bluegrass show that I didn't think I'd like the music, but I went because I wanted to go with my friends, and it turned out I had more fun than they fucking did that night. And was like, oh my God, I want to play whatever that thing is he's playing. It was this band, Split Lip Rayfield. And
Oh, sure.
the bass player played this gas tank bass, and I didn't understand what that was and how he was doing it with one string. And they're like, it's the same fucking thing Homeboy has at home. And it's like, no, it's not. And there's like, well, it's the same thing, but it's not made the same. And like within a month, I went and bought a cheap Chinese bass and tried to learn how to play bass. And it
It's
wasn't until like
amazing.
years later that I did learn how to play bass. And yeah,
That's awesome that though that I mean so to me immediately when I hear of an instrument like that I think Primus. I think Les Claypool. I mean when
bum,
I
bum,
think
bum, 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 bum.
um, when I think of strange basses, I mean I had the distinct pleasure of seeing him at Jam and the Dam in 2010 and he brought out the not I mean forget the Whamola. He brought out everything and that he had in the bucket for those shows. It was just 3 nights of chaos with instruments ranging in string number from 1 to 24. Like it was just pure and utter bass mayhem. And it's so cool to hear that, you know, being so captivated by the instrument made you want to play. I mean, I had an experience with a bluegrass band recently, actually, where I heard their music for the first time ever live on a show, and for the first time in my life, went to a record store the next day and bought their album. I mean, like, I get it. Like, it can get you.
It can and it did.
So, what at what age did you start playing?
Like playing and actually knew what the hell I was doing, I'd say
Oh
30.
well,
I mean, other than just holding the thing and like thumping it and wish pulling on strings and not knowing what I was doing, I had that my first bass for maybe 2 or 3 years until
well,
I don't know,
I think
30. I'm gonna go with 30.
it's important to like, acknowledge that it's those 2 or 3 years that got you to, having 30 being the jumping point, like without 2 to 3 years of hard work because
I wasn't
like,
hard working. I just had this bass and didn't know what to do with it and how to play it and just
but
wished.
you know what? But here's the thing. But it's one thing to wish, and it's another thing to wish with the bass in your hand and actually even if you don't know what the hell you're doing, just to have it with you and at least and that's 90% of it is having the fucking instrument, playing it if you have a passion for it. Like ultimately you'll figure it out. Clearly, I mean you did.
Well, I had some help. It really took somebody to push me to even learn how to play it because I mean, I had another bass in my house because I was with this my first band, and how I met this band was through the bass player from back home, and he was playing with them, and then he pawned his bass, went to jail. I went to the jail and got the pawn ticket, went and got the bass out. Then the fiddle player got kicked out of his house and ended up crashing on my couch and say,
Uh-huh.
you got that bass over there in the corner, but why the fuck don't you learn how to play it? Because we don't have a bass player right now. I was like, I don't know. So he was a music teacher, but he didn't teach bass, but he taught like four other instruments. He's like, I'll figure it out. And he taught me, and I learned how to play their songs at least, so we could go out and make money for them. I never really learned how to jam, but I learned how to play with those guys, those four guys. You know
So
what I mean?
that's really interesting. So are you saying, if I'm hearing you correctly, you developed your music playing sensibilities by learning songs, not learning chords or anything in like like you learned their music.
Yeah, I don't know any theory. I don't know
Huh,
anything like
that's
that. But
awesome.
I picked up some shit along the way, listening to motherfuckers how they talk and trying to figure shit out in my head. I try to read some books
I'm
about
gonna,
it. Like I don't really get it until I do it and I get it.
yeah.
But I didn't have a lot of practice or time to do that because it kind of fell apart with those guys not too soon after I started playing bass with them, which is fine because after then I'd met a lot of people in the little community and I was like, fuck it, I can go out on my own and be my own merch person and just contact these people, or I say contact these people. I mean contact these people and be like, hey, you need somebody to work this show? I see you're coming through town. I just kept up with everybody else's schedule and the bar's
So
schedule and be like, hey, I know that band. I'm gonna hit them up and see if they need a merch person.
so you got involved in the music scene as a player, and then
As a merch girl, I was the band's merch girl first. And then when the
so
bass player went to jail, I
ah,
filled in sometimes. I was like their backup bass player because they had another homie that could play bass and he lived in Kansas and he's a lot better than me. And sometimes he would drive down and like save the day and play the shows that really mattered.
so what was it that made you decide to get into selling merch? Because that, I mean, in my experience, and it may be no different here, this is how it was for me, was volunteering or working selling merch is a great way to see a show. I mean,
No,
curious to know what it was for you.
I had it pre-set up. I knew I was moving to Tulsa and I had been coming up with my friend who played the bass. I would bring them up for the shows on the weekends
Mhm.
and I would sell their merch and they would pay me to sell their merch and I'd get the free show. So when I
Mhm.
knew I was going to move up here, I was like, I'm going to find a job just during the week because I already have this weekend job. And
Mhm.
they would pay me to go along with them and sell their merch like legitimately. And so I was already a merch girl first. I just accidentally became a bass player for a little bit and then resorted right back to doing merch because I like that more because I'm a salesman.
I'm
I
just
like
real. I got to shout out my buddy Matt Riley real quick because it reminds me that method of learning how to play reminds me so much of like so much stuff that he's talked to me about just like observation and figuring it out and making things work and learning it as you go and ultimately putting it together and being able to put it aside and move on to a completely different phase. Like it's really not everyone is built like that.
it. I learned how to play more out of necessity and so I could help the band. Because by then, I was like, I wasn't in the band, but I was a part of the band. I was like the band mom, the merch girl,
So
and I
did
was like,
you
well,
just so did you just decide, hey, rather than continue to, be in this backup role in the band, let me, utilize these connections that I've developed as I've been, with them and as folks are coming through, basically just make things happen,
yeah,
as folks come through.
yes, I wanted to build on those relationships and try to work with more bands in different places rather than just be in one single band. Because when you're in one single band, you only get to see your show. And if you're lucky, you might get to see the show before or after you a little bit, but not really because you're busy setting up or tearing down.
Yep.
And then sometimes you have to leave. And I don't want to be in one band. So I'm riding around in the van with a bunch of guys. And when somebody farts, I already know who farted because I know what their farts smell like because I don't want to do that again. And I was like, I'd rather be around different people, different group of people each night so I don't get sick of nobody either.
I'm more
because
la Yeah, I'm
do
more
you
laughing
understand what I
because
mean?
I'm more
Keep it
laughing
fresh.
because I'm more laughing because it's accurate than because it's funny. I mean, it's funny, but it's also so
It
true.
is. It's true and it is funny, but yeah, it's true as fuck. And
Yeah,
you can get sick of people. And I want to be happy every time I see every band that I work with or work for because I love them. I don't want to be around them enough to where not only I get sick of them, but I don't want them to have to get sick of me because I know I'm a lot. I'm a whole lot to deal with.
sure.
So,
Hey, game knows
hey,
game.
exactly.
You're
Game of the
speaking to
fucking
someone who
game.
I can be a lot as well. I've definitely had, some steep learning curves on the road in the past, and you know, it's all made me really grow as a professional.
It's cramped but and there's it's the moments, it's those little bitty moments that make it all worth it, or that
Well,
90 minutes that can make it worth it, you know what I mean? The show.
I've always often compared my career as a comedian to a baseball player, and that if my good show to bad show ratio was a batting average, I'd be barred from ever even visiting Cooperstown. But that 10% of good shows of all the hundreds that I've done, those moments are everything. For
Yeah, that
everything.
home run.
Everything. When you hit that home run and the whole crowd knows it right away and they continue, like, yeah, that's that. Yeah,
That's why you do this shit.
we live for that shit.
Yeah.
Absolutely. 100%. But it's such a great, I think introspection is a highly underrated quality. And it's really important to be able to know yourself and to understand not just how you are, but how other people perceive you. And to really have a grasp on it to the point where it provides you, direction in your life. I think that's a really powerful thing. It's really difficult. This has kind of been a theme this season now where, bands, we're artists in general, performers, we're human beings, you know, and daily life, daily problems happen the same way they happen to everyone. And when you're in close quarters traveling with a small group of people, you know, to maybe nobody's fault even, it can get incredibly difficult for a variety of reasons. But
Yeah.
to know this and to be able to extricate yourself from that situation and to make a career moving forward because of it, I think is pretty outstanding.
Oh, well, thank you.
I'd be lying if I said otherwise. One thing that I'm really curious about, was there like a vending experience, like a merch experience that like you just had an amazing time and were like, this is fucking great, like that didn't have to do with a band?
Yeah, I mean, it was it was at a festival and this lady had came to me and she wanted to buy this CD
Hmm.
and back when people had CD players.
Yeah, sure, yeah.
And and as soon as she got her hands on it, she just started crying. And she's like, I am so happy to buy this in person and later tonight I get to watch them play and no idea. She told me her whole story about how what all she went through to get there to that festival, as far as the time that she had to take off work, the money she had to save, the babysitter she had to get, the dog
Wow,
sitter that she had to get, the house sitter
wow.
she had to get, the miles she had to drive, and blah 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 blah. And she was just so excited, and she couldn't wait to put that CD in her car and drive home all the way 400 something miles back home to listen to it over and over again and just gave me hugs and showered me in love. And I mean, all I did was facilitate a sale, but it just felt so rewarding to sell somebody something that I knew that they were going to cherish forever. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to get this fucking CD signed for by the whole band. So it's like maybe a little bit more special because that's to me, I have all these CDs and they're really, all of them are special to me. And I was like, it'll be easy for me just to run over and say, hey, motherfucker, sign this real quick and get it back to her so that she could be, really happy. And I did that and it hit in a different way that was like,
Yeah.
fuck, that made coming here and working this festival while I was sick as fuck
Huh.
totally worth it. Cause I was like sick as fuck. I just recovered from intestinal parasites from
Oh,
swimming in a
Jesus
filthy river
Christ.
at a music festival. And but
And
it was
they're
worth
right
it.
back at
That
it. Right back
Yeah, I was
at
right
it.
back at it the next fucking weekend. Had one day to recover, and that day to recover was at the hospital. But
Jesus.
but that
Okay.
was like a long time ago. Don't be careful about that water, y'all, because you
But
never know if it's clean.
that's such a like those moments, okay. Those are the moments that
That
this
are
whole
beautiful.
those are the moments that this whole show is about.
Yeah.
Is is highlighting the fact that there are so many people working in so many different positions that, you know, facilitate those
Hmm.
moments of joy that people have from getting a CD, getting a poster, hearing the music, being with their friends, enjoying a show. There's so many people who work so hard to make live music happen in all aspects. And
Yes, they do.
it's about really highlighting and spotlighting, those folks who are the cogs in the machine that turn to make moments like those.
I love my job. I get to sit back and watch that too because I get to watch people enjoy the
Mhm.
lights. I get to watch people walk
Yeah.
away with their drink from the bartender and they're like, it's so yummy. And I get to watch them dance for the band. I get to watch them listen to it and be like, man, it sounds good in here. And it sounds a lot better than the last place they were at. I get to witness all the enjoyment that they have from all the aspects of all of my friends, and or the whole team that it takes to put on the show, from the bartender to the door guy to the sound guy to the light guy to the security that's keeping us safe to all the people in the bar that help, make it run for that band to get up there and bring everyone together to do what we do.
Whenever, whenever first of all, I absolutely love that. And we're going to make a clip out of this because that is 100% what secondhand talent is about. When people ask me about the show and what it's about, I give the example, that what I said before of highlighting the people in these spaces, but not just them, but all the people in the spaces they occupy, but also to pass on that message of and the example that I use is when you're going through security, let's say at a fish show, 30,000 people there, whatever it is, take that moment as you're going through security to say, I appreciate you keeping us safe. Thank you.
Hell yeah.
It can make all the difference in the world to that person. And
You
it
know,
takes no effort at all. And
you
it's
know what? I'd rather that man be in a good mood and feel appreciated at work than in a bad mood having to deal with a bunch of dickheads at work. Because when you're in a good mood, your
mm,
senses might be on a little bit better and you're going to make better and more accurate decisions to help keep us safe rather than just be in a pissed off mood and focused in on like one thing.
the ripple effects of the pebbles we cast with our actions are vast and unknown. You know, it, there's no way to tell what our actions cause and why not exhibit positive ones rather than negative ones.
Exactly.
So you've been doing this for a while now. Talk about some of your favorite uh, bands that you've worked with, some of your favorite experiences. You've got a long history to pick through. I wouldn't even know where to begin asking, so I just kind of want to throw the ball to you with some of your. Let's start with what's some of your favorite bands you've toured with?
Well, I'd have to say one of the craziest bands I've toured with was one of the first bands I toured with was Mountain Sprout out of Eureka Springs, Arkansas. That was a long time ago, but they were definitely a lot of fun and they hardened me to where I was good. You know, you couldn't really do much to shock me after after
Oh,
that band. So
all right.
moving
That's
on to my favorite bands to work for as of like right now, I've made like this really stupid long list of all these bands that I had worked for this year and festivals that I worked for this year, and then bands that I've seen this year. And it's really long and it kind of just blew my mind. And I'm going to try and keep it short
but can we
and just
just for the
talk about a
camera,
couple of
our listeners won't get to see it, but for the viewers, can you just hold that list up again one more time so we can see just how detailed it is? I love it. It's I've seen the list, folks. It's a little bit closer to the camera. There it is. There it is. Yeah. And that's double-sided, right?
it is. The bands
Yeah.
that I work for are continued on the back, and then I made a list of all the bands like I paid a ticket to go to and see because I was just curious to look at it
Hey,
all
I keep track
on a piece
too.
of paper, and
Sure.
then I was like, God damn. My friend was like, "How do you remember all that shit?" And I was like, "My Google Calendar. It's all in my phone calendar. I type it in, and thank God I do because wow, yeah."
So
um,
okay, so keeping it short.
Keeping it
You
short,
said
keeping it short. My favorite bands that to work for and that I've worked for this year. I've got my hometown homie, Johnny Mullinax's band. He's on the come up. He's out of Tulsa, Oklahoma. I love working Sunday brunches when I wake up in Tulsa at the Mercury Lounge for him. And the boys going places. So keep your fucking eyes and ears on that one, Johnny Mullinax's band. This year I did two tours with one of my favorite bands to work for, Carrie Nation and the Speakeasy. They're out of Wichita, Kansas. They are a really fun group of guys to go on the road with because those guys just know how to have fun and they like to take me around to show me new foods that I won't eat. And it's or try that I don't like. But every now and then, it hits, and I actually do. I tried some fried cheese just this last August. Not fried baked cheese. I didn't know you could bake cheese, but it was
you're
good with
talking
like
to
soy sauce.
you're
They're
talking
just
to
a
a
bunch
mid
of foodies, is what they are. They play music too, but I think they just play music so they can go on the road and eat like Korean sausage and strudels and all sorts of weird things.
you're
So
talking to a Midwesterner. You could do anything with cheese. It's we live and breathe it out here.
yeah, and they took me to Wisconsin for my first time,
Yeah,
and
there you go.
my
There you
goal
go.
was to get constipated in Wisconsin, and I did. By like day 5, I woke up, I couldn't poop. I was like, yeah, I did Wisconsin style.
That's
It
why they
lets you.
call that's why they call it Wisconsin.
Yeah, that's a new word I learned this year. I was really happy to
Yep.
learn that. Thank you, Carrie Nation and Speakeasy. Had a lot of fun with you guys. Um, I gotta talk about my girl, Rachel Amos out of Little Rock, Arkansas. She's like blues, psychedelic, Delta. She's a one no man band. Okay. She don't need no man to be in no damn band. She's a badass. She sounds like 10 people on stage, all with her feet and she's very talented and that's one of my best friends. And I've been working with her for about 10 years and you should check her out. Um, I cannot forget my homeboy Eric Howell out of Springfield, Missouri. He's the one that named me Shady Business. And my friend Junior Soapbox, he was there when I was named Shady Business. It was a very fun night and a festival. One night, won't really go into detail, but they
I was
started
gonna
it.
say you don't have to.
It started as a joke, and then it just like snowballed into a bigger joke, and now it's got stickers and logos and shit. Like he took that picture, he made my logo. I love that man. That's my brother.
Joke
But
had
Eric
legs.
and Junior Soapbox are singer songwriters out of South Missouri, and you
Say it
should
one
check
more.
them out.
Say it one more time. The audio got blurred. Say it one more time.
Eric Howe and Junior Soapbox are two individual singer songwriters out of Springfield and Washburn, Missouri. And sometimes they come together and play in this band called the Ozark Cobras. But those two are very, very talented, very special individuals to my heart. Those are my brothers from another mother's. But those, and then I got to send one more shout out to this band I've been working with a lot lately. They're called Arkansas. They're from Fayetteville, Arkansas,
Right
and
on.
they're a lot of fun. They're a lot of good boys. They travel and hit it hard and play very, very well very, very good bluegrass. And I love those boys. I went out to the East Coast with them this year and worked a few shows with them, and they're really good boys. You should check them out.
I absolutely will do Arkansas. Absolutely. I really I love that you've got this passion for bluegrass. One of the first bands that I ever saw live on like a regular basis, like residency, was the band currently known as Hen House Prowlers, formerly known as Sex Fist. Um, Back at the Abbey Pub, which at the time of this taping apparently is supposed to reopen, but you know, the time
I
of this
love the
taping.
House Prowlers.
They're
I
they're
was the, I was the stage manager, the stagehand for them when they came and played our little festival out in Tahlequah. It's not my festival. My friend Travis put it on, but it was this festival called River Stomp. And of course, they show up in their suits and these
Yep.
beautiful
Yep.
instruments that are worth more than a lot of the RVs that are out there. And then it started to rain, and they were be damned if they were gonna not
Uh-huh.
play. So they just unplugged everything, which fucked us up at the end of the night. And the next day we had to plug all this shit back in. But they unplugged all our shit and moved it around, and then got down and played in the mist and rain the most beautiful, beautiful set ever. Oh,
Over.
it was magic. It was magic under the stars there in Tahlequah, Oklahoma. It was so gorgeous. And they were like, "How do you say the name of this town?" And we was like, "Tahlequah." And they was like, "Tala what?" And yeah, it
Yeah.
was cute.
Those guys are awesome. I started seeing them 15 years ago, back when they were called Sex Fist, and I those shout out Hen House Prowlers, shout out
Yeah,
Sex Fist.
yeah, well,
I love you guys. And it's and you talked earlier about kind of inheriting music from your mom, as did I. Zappa and the Dead. That's what I got from my mom. Uh, my 80s came from my dad. That's where I got all my Bee Gees and Rare Earth and all that 70s and 80s classic stuff. That appreciation is awesome. And I'm curious
I
to
think
know if
I think
uh
I think it was more for my grandma. My grandma was
oh
like the
yeah.
head of my grandma was the head of a fan club for a country music singer called Freddie Hart back in the day, and she liked to play cards and canasta. And I'd look through her photograph album books, and from back when she was in Texas and married to her husband, like there were pictures of grandma playing canasta with like Reba McEntire and um Dolly Parton and all sorts of country
Yeah.
people. Like,
Playing nine to
and
five.
yeah, and she'd sit at her typewriter every day, all day, typing up these newsletters, that she'd send out once a month to everybody in the fan club in her region because she was like president of it. She'd send out pictures and all sorts of stuff. I loved getting to sit there and watch her doing that. But yeah, she's the one that jammed all those country records and dressed me up
Oh
and make me
wow.
make me act it out and stuff. I mean,
Huh.
I love and have appreciation for countries. It's not really what I listen to or anything, but yeah, I think I got. all my music like drive stuff from my grandma. Because she
Yeah.
kind of lived that shit too. That and crochet. Not that I crochet, but that's all my grandma did was country music and crochet.
Right on. Double C's all day. That's
Yeah.
fucking cool. That what you just said. That's fucking cool. I love that. That's a really great story. Wow, your grandma played canasta with Reba. That's
Yeah, I've actually got like the physical
and
a physical
Dolly Parton.
copy.
Holy fucking
I've
what?
got a
Like
physical copy of a Reba McEntire picture of like back in the 70s.
so, as we mentioned in the intro, that was so beautifully written by your friend in Carrie Nation and the Speakeasy out of Wichita, Kansas. Check him out, link in the description. Your influence was Ma Dank. Tell us about Ma Dank.
The first band I was working for, the front guy, he's a real asshole. Anyways, he was like, there's this awesome merch lady that works for this band, Mountain Sprout. She used to be our merch lady back in the day when I was in a different band. And he's like, you need to meet her. And I was like, okay. I seeked out the band and her, and it's the first time I ever saw that band. And I went over there to the merch table and I was like, I need to buy that beanie. And I bought this beanie and I was like, I heard you knew this asshole. And she's like, yeah, I do. And I was like, yeah, I know that asshole too. And I sat down and we became friends immediately and turned into one of the most beautiful friendships I've ever had in my life. She was an older lady, older than my mom, and just by a little bit. And we became like best friends over the years. And eventually I ended up moving out there to her house for a season to help her out by just being there to drive her around. And she let me work her Mount Sprout gigs in exchange, like here, you can have a job when you get here and kind of stuff. Why I sniffed out like weekday jobs and stuff, which is non-existent in Eureka Springs. Anyways, best friend, she ended up becoming my best friend and mentor. She taught me everything. She taught me a lot. She taught me how to herd cats. She taught me how to herd cats. And
That's a wild compliment right there.
it is.
That is a wild compliment. Taught you how to herd cats. Man, wow. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a
It
that's a bold statement there.
is. But she taught me well. And I miss her and I take her to every merch table I work, every show I go to, anything that has to do with music. I take her with me. And I love and appreciate that woman. But yeah, Ma Dank. If you know, you know. If you don't know, you just missed out.
Well,
Yeah.
I just found out, but I appreciate Ma Dank because that led me to meet you. And if not
She's
for my,
appreciated every day by somebody somewhere. I'm
I'm
glad
by
she
me,
got a new one.
she's appreciated by me today. I'm
Good.
glad that you met Ma Dank because had you not met Ma Dank, we would not have met, and this interview would not have taken place. So, Ma Dank, grateful. It's really cool for also just for those who aren't aware the way that me and Cherie, and I really love the way that sounds, the way that me and Cherie made this happen is our mutual friend and friend of the show, shout out Garrett Melby. Big shout out to you, big guy. Season 3 guest. Go out, check out his episode, season 3, episode 9, The Color of Music. It's a phenomenal interview. Garrett is an awesome live painter, and we would be remiss not to shout him out.
Would you like to see a picture of a painting he gave me?
Yeah, let's see it.
Give me 1 second.
All right. Seconds are taking, we're taking seconds. Seconds are passing. Weeks are moving. This is a bad song, and I've got a shitty voice. Oh well. The mic did. Oh, that is. Yup. Yep.
I'm
I
really
love
into
his. I'm looking for mine to see if it's over there. I have a small one that he did for me, but yeah, I love his the little angles that he does. The little
me
right
too.
angle, like the quarter squares that he does,
Me
whatever you want to
too.
call it. That's emblematic of his style.
I'm really
Absolutely.
I'm really into bugs, and I've got them tattooed all over me. And he didn't meet me. It's just that he saw me working all weekend. And at the end of the festival, I had went over there to look at the paintings, and I was like, man, all these paintings are awesome, but I know I can't afford a painting. And pointed at one, and I was like, but if I could, that'd be the one I'd want because duh. And he was like, here you go, is for you. And I was like, what the fuck? I was like,
Uh,
why? And he's like, I seen you work all weekend. He's like, you were working, so you get this painting. And I was like, holy shit, thank you.
See,
And I was like,
that's
yeah, he's great.
That's just a testament to the kind of dude that Garen is. Shout out, buddy. Love you, brother. Friend of the
For
show again.
real.
Check out his work. There's going to be links to his work in the description as well as links to all of Cherie's stuff. Cherie, thank you so much for being on the show. This has been an absolute blast of an interview, and as of the time of this taping, I cannot wait for it to air.
Cool. I've had a lot of fun, dude.
Well, this is Steiner with another episode of Secondhand Talent, and we will see you next Wednesday. That's podcast. There we go.
All right.
All
Good
right, we
job.
did it. Podcast.